Alright there everyone, Demon Red Mist here for another episode of Dave Does Wood. I should have called it that actually from the start. I might do, well, you know what, Dave Does Wood or Dave Gets Wood. Might get a few more views. Okay, it's Monday, week after the last video I think it was. And as you may be able to tell, I'm very red, I'm very sweaty. It is fucking hot. I think it's about 26 degrees outside, which if you live in Australia is a cold day, but if you live in England it's fucking roasting. We've had hot weather for 2 or 3 days now, and I found out that unfortunately I don't think the air conditioning is working in the new car I got. Although it's not a new car, I mean it's 8 years old, but it would appear that the aircon doesn't work, which means it's probably going to need regassing, which I'm going to have to try and get sorted out, because if this weather is anything to suggest what summer is going to be like, because we're not in summer yet, it's going to be fucking hot, and the last thing I need in summer is to be hotter in the car than anywhere else. I suppose it's one of the downsides of having driven the car that I have done for the last few years, borrowing my dad's car. The aircon in that was absolutely amazing. In summer it was the best place to be in the car, with like aircon running at about 14 degrees. It's fucking lovely. So yeah, it's been a bit of a sweaty drive over here today, and I'm thankful in a way that in my dad's workshop where I am, it's nice and cool in here. In winter it's fucking freezing in here. Sorry, I've got something on my leg. Yeah, it's absolutely freezing in here, but in summer or in hot days like today, it's lovely and cool in here. I don't know what the temperature is in here, but it's a lot cooler than outside. So I'm more than happy to be in here today, even though I don't really feel like I've got a lot of energy. The heat absolutely wipes me out. But I have got a couple of things that I want to get done today. Obviously on the last video I showed that I was working on the door, hot door. So today, my main aim for today is to get that cleaned up with white spirits and then get a coat of varnish on it, or a coat of stain on it. Well, it's actually varnish with stain, so I'm right, whichever one I call it. So yeah, the idea is to get a coat on that door today, because once that is done we are on to the base. And I'm literally just this second about to take off the strip of masking tape that I'd left on. I left it on for a week and 3 days, so 10 days. I've just taken it off, and it would appear that it's not caused any damage. So now I know that I can use masking tape to cover parts of the drawers when I come to putting on their final coats. And I am thinking I will spend the time to prep them all at the same time with the tape, so that I can literally just go like from 1 to 9, coat of varnish, coat of varnish, coat of varnish, coat of varnish, all the way through, and then obviously wait for that coat to dry, gentle sand, and then give it another coat of varnish, let it dry, gentle sand, and then final coat of clear varnish. And I must admit, I'm really looking forward to when I get to the point of putting on that clear varnish. See, what I might do is I might spend one day prepping those drawers, but not actually putting any coats of varnish on. It depends how long it takes, because it's going to be very fiddly, and fiddly is not good for me. My fingers aren't. My fingers are too numb to do fiddly. So I am looking forward to when that happens though, because I really can't wait to see what it's going to look like with the clear coat. of varnish on, which should hopefully give them a lovely shine. The other thing I want to get done today is something of my own. Basically, I built something from my own home quite some time ago. It was the thing that kind of got me into doing a little bit of woodwork. But I mentioned on the last video, I need to make a cut on it, but we couldn't find the jigsaw. And I could have had a go at trying to fudge the cut in one way or another, but it would have been such a ball ache. And I had waited until I'd got to see my dad to see if we could find his jigsaw, and we can't find it. So what I've decided to do is I've actually been out and got one. Now, this particular jigsaw might be backwards on the screen. If it is, I apologise. It's because I've got my camera spun around. It's not BCJ or BCO or whatever it might look like. It is a JCB jigsaw, which was on sale at B&Q. So they're usually about £75–80 there, and it was 50% off. So was it about 40 quid? I think it was. I got it for. So as I mentioned on a previous video, that I think it was when I was talking about the jigsaw, that every now and again I'll come up against something that needs doing, that needs a specific tool, and then I might pick up that tool. Now this one, although I have bought it, I think my dad might be here. I might have to stop the video in a sec. Even though I've bought it, I am actually going to give it to my dad. So if he wants it, he can have it, and it's here. But then obviously I'll be able to use it. But I am going to offer it to him. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a visitor or not. So yeah, so I want to get that cut done on the thing that I've got for myself. So they're the two main things that I want to get done today. So it's not a lot, but with the weather being how it is, it could still be extremely strenuous. So I'm going to crack on with them and see how I get on. Okay, so, sorry about the light up there. Okay, so I'm not a Nazi, don't worry, don't panic. I'm just trying to get out of the light. While I'm waiting for the door to dry from being cleaned with white spirits, I've decided to come and make the cut into the piece of wood just for myself. And I'm going to quickly show you that now. I've made the cut, and you know what, it didn't quite go to plan, but it ended up better than I was expecting. So as you can see, I've got some wood here, which is, I think it's HDF wood. Basically it's that stuff. I've got a board with some pieces here. So basically I've made a foot plate and then wrapped it in gaffer tape. But I needed to do this. I needed to make this cut so that I could have it fit better for what I'm using it for. I'm not going to go into what I'm using it for, but it's all about this particular cut. Now admittedly it was meant to be a curved edge, sort of straight line, corner, straight line, corner. But first time using a jigsaw, and I made the cut here, made the turn, came across here, stopped, had a look and went, I like that. So I've tried to match it here, and okay, it's not perfect, but I'm going to give this a little bit of a sanding. But I just wanted to show that this is a cut that would have been impossible to do with a regular saw. I mean, for example, if I was to get a hacksaw, it's a hacksaw, yeah, great at cutting wood. Now I'd have been able to make this cut, but that's as far as I could go, and I'd be able to make this cut, and then that's as far as I could go. I'd not be able to get the saw in to make that cut, and even if I made cuts this way, I still have that cut to do that I can't get into. There's a lot of fucking about and a lot of faffing about when you get a jigsaw, done this cut in 5 minutes, probably less. And now we also have a jigsaw for anything else that we may need to do. So, good stuff. Right then, the door has been cleaned, and you'll see it's looking a little darker. It's just because it's been cleaned, all the wood dust has come off it. So I am now ready for the varnish. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start off on the back. Now, main reason for that is the back should be easier to do than the front. Front's going to take a bit of time, so hopefully you can get the back done, let that dry, or the back and the edges, let them dry, then I can flip it over and I can take my time doing the front. Hopefully in this heat it's not going to take too long to dry, but what I will do is once I've put a coat on of the back, I will either take a picture or do a little video to show what it's like. And I am still using sponges, by the way, to apply my finish, my varnish, just because I find it's so much better for spreading and getting in all the nooks and crannies and things like that. So, time for me to crack on with this. Okay, so the back has been stained, and to be fair, on the camera it's looking a little bit reddish, but it's actually not. It's really nice. It is a nice brown, but I have literally only just finished that, so it's still a bit wet, which means it's going to have to dry. So I've got a little bit of time now, so I think I'm going to take a break. And then once this is dry, and to be fair, it is drying pretty damn quick. I mean, this is touch dry already. That was the first bit that I did. So yeah, as soon as that's done, I can flip it over and do the front. Okay, so a bit of an update. I have completed putting the first coat of varnish on the door, and I've got to say it looks quite nice. The colour of it, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the main base, which is that's next, and although you can't fully see its original colour because it's all battered and scuffed, it's in bad condition, but looking at the door and the base unit, the colours look pretty similar, but obviously this is cleaner, it's nicer, and hopefully the remaining coats on the door won't be too hard to do. It has got me wondering whether I should go ahead and put the next few coats on, but I'm not going to do that. I've changed my mind so many times. The base, it's time to make a start on the base, because the main reason for getting a coat on everything else is so that I can start sanding the base, so that once the base has been sanded, there is no more major sanding to be done, and that's the key part, because after that then it's just varnishing and staining. Although that is time consuming, it's not a dusty horrible job. Also, I will say, in case I forgot to mention it on one of the earlier videos, do wear safety goggles, do wear a mask if you're doing sanding, because I think the first time I didn't, I ended up with wood dust in my eyes. I was snotting trees, or like picking trees out my nose for about 2 weeks. It was bloody awful. So yeah, wear the safety goggles and a mask as well, it'll help. Now today's been a bit of an odd day, because although I feel kind of like I actually haven't done a lot, but at the same time I feel like I've been very productive. I have done everything that I intended to do today, and to be honest, I am thinking that I might just stop there, because it is a lovely sunny day outside, but I don't really want to go and sit outside. I am at a position where I can pretty much go, right, okay, that's it, I'm done for today. I am not going to make a start on the base today because I have been doing this varnishing. The last thing I want to do is start sanding something and have all the dust get stuck to the door, because that is not the intention. But I am going to show the door quickly. Now, once again, a little bit like the back, I think it was, it does look a little bit red on the camera, but to be honest, I think that's just a colour effect because of the red sheet behind. I mean, it is looking very good. Doing in the grooves was not dead easy. I mean, on the camera, it almost looks like I haven't done this one, but I have. It's just a slightly different shade. But I don't mind that there's different shades. I mean, I know we can still see where the bracket was here, but to be honest, I intend on putting the original handle back on the door. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I used the sponge. And I got the wrong sponges really. These sponges are obviously shaped here. I didn't realise until it was too late. I prefer to have the sponges where it's just a big square. It's so much easier to use. These are a little bit fiddly and don't get into the corners as well. However, it was very good for getting in the grooves. Now with the grooves, a couple of things that I did is obviously you can see the cotton buds here. I was using the cotton buds to get right up in the edges, in the corners, doing some of the notches. Where's the one that I used? This one. Okay. What I basically did to get in the grooves, you might not be able to see it too well. Okay, you can see it there. Is basically I fluffed up the end of one of these cotton buds and dipped it in a bit of varnish and went through one of the grooves. And what it did was it created that shape. It's a bit difficult to see, but it did create the shape of the groove in the cotton bud. So I was then able to just continually dip this into my varnish and do all of the grooves. So doing it that way, it worked out quite well, quite nicely. And I know it may look like the varnish hasn't been spread, but to be honest, it's the feature of the door. Like, this is where the crack was, obviously. So there's slight different colorations in the wood, but to be honest, I want that on this piece of furniture because it is old and I don't want it to look perfect. It should look, when I've finished, it should look fresh but aged. It should look like it has been through a lot. But this though is going to have another 2 coats of stain and a coat of single varnish. Now what I will need to work out is whether I am going to do 2 coats on the whole thing or keep to what it was originally, which is the back only had 1 coat, I think, a bit like the drawers. So I may actually seal off the back and just do the top and sides with the extra coats, or maybe just the front. Actually, it may look better with just the front, but I've got time to make a decision on that. Now once this has fully dried on another week, what I will do is when I come to put the next coat on, I will give everything a light sanding using my sanding sponge, just so that everything is cleaned up again. Obviously I'm in a bit of a dusty place, so it's handy to keep them clean. Okay, hopefully I'm going to be able to show one more thing in a moment. If I don't show it, then that's the end for today, but if I do, then that'll be the end for today. Okay, so I am now done for the day. and I have managed to now finally get everything, absolutely everything accomplished today that I wanted to do. Now I am suffering though. I've had to get help to do the bit that I mentioned I might do, and I'll show you what that is. What it is getting the base unit onto my work table. There's all the drawers waiting for their later coats. So yeah, I've had to get help to get the unit up onto my work table, and I've put it onto the work table so that I can sit and do this. So I can sit and sand and clean. I mean, you get a closer look and you'll see just how bad a condition this is in. There's the nail varnish again, or nail polish. You can even see where there was a drawing pin stuck into it. So yeah, it's not in the greatest of condition. I have found out as well that there is a shelf in here. I mean, you can see how scratched and battered that is. I don't know what that is, but I guess I'm going to have to do the little shelf as well. But because that is just one big flat piece, that shouldn't take too long to do, to be honest. But yeah, I am now at the stage that we can start on the base. So as I mentioned, I'm done in now. I think, to be fair, it was wise of me to come and do this today, because it means, well, what it means is that I'm actually here looking after the parents' house and the dogs for a few days while they go away soon. So it means that while I'm here for 4 days, if I want to come and do a bit, I can. Although I am expecting some guests. So if I do happen to do some stuff, if I've got people with me, I'm probably not going to be able to do this video, the videoing, because no one really knows that I'm doing this videoing. I've spoken to a few people about the scenario and whether I should publicise it. A few people are interested in what I'm doing. I mean, I've mentioned that I'm videoing something private, and so they're interested in knowing what it is, but I don't know if I am going to put it public because it is a personal thing, this. But at the same time, you never know, if someone else gets help from it and realising that it is okay to suffer, then bonus. My big fear is that someone might look at this and go, "It's fuck all wrong," and yeah, cause me a load of shit that I don't need, especially considering what I've been through over the last 4 years, so, or 3 to 4 years. So yeah, I don't need the hassle. But my dad has been on again about maybe I could go on a course to learn like proper woodworking and stuff like that, and I kind of like the idea, but we will have to wait and see. So yeah, so anyway, we're at the next stage with this now, which is to basically clean this base up, sand it. To be honest, I'm only really going to be sanding the outsides other than the runners where the drawers go, and yeah, and then hopefully it'll look nice and pretty. Once I've got actually, with this being such a big piece, maybe what I would be better off doing, I mean, the little shelf that I've found, I'm not too concerned about that. With that being so small, I can take that into the other room and sand that down pretty quickly. So It's not like I'm moving big pieces around, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem to get sorted. Potentially while I am waiting for a cleaning coat or a varnish coat on the base to dry. But one of the things that I may do, because this is such a big piece and there's no way I can move it on my own, what I will probably do is sand this down completely, and then clean it with the white spirits, and then put its initial coat of varnish on. Then, rather than going for doing all the other bits, because everything's got its coat on, I may as well, while this is in situ, I may as well do as many coats on this unit as I can while it is where it is, because that'll be so much easier for me to do. Also, I mean, the varnish, it's usually dry with it. I think it says on the tin, wait at least an hour before you put a second coat on. So it shouldn't take that long, really, to effectively put 3 coats on this thing. I mean, it's a big bastard, and the front's going to be fiddly, but at least the other bits are just big panels, and the insides of it, like I said, I'm not really going to be doing those, so I'll probably masking tape the inner edges, and then I can just smash through it with me varnish, and then once that is done, I mean, once this has had its coats on and it's done, this can actually go back into the house, just waiting for its drawers. Although personally, I would rather wait until all the drawers are done as well, because then it goes over in one piece, it's finished. It goes back as a finished item, rather than it goes back and I've still got stuff to do. I'd rather it go in their house and is done. There's nothing else to do with it. I mean, obviously we are still needing handles for the drawers, but we are getting on to that. I have spoke to my brother, who's got a friend who works with antiques or sells antiques, and asked whether he's got an antique handles guy, because if he is, with him being involved in antiques, there's more chance of him knowing who to go to or where to go to. So yeah, I'm absolutely fucked today, but it's been a very good day, very productive day, and I've been able to stay out of the hottest part of the day, which could be quite crucial for me. I do not cope well in serious heat. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, I do want to work on this when I'm here for 4 days, but with me having guests, it would be very rude of me to just sort of go, oh, I'm off to go and do some woodwork. But at the same time, they would both fully understand. I mean, my brother's coming and James is coming. They would both understand that I've got that itch. And to be fair, James is into a bit of woodworking as well. For all I know, he may actually, I have said to him that if he wants to bring anything down that he needs to get done, he's more than welcome to do so, whether it be cutting, sanding, varnishing, whatever it might be. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next stage of this. Normally this would be where stuff starts going a little bit wrong. I can hear voices getting louder outside as well, so I might have visitors in a second. So I'm going to end this video there. Good day today. Going to suffer for it for a couple of days, but as I've said before, it's my choice. Okay, I'm going to go because they are getting closer. See you later.